All right, how's it going, everybody? This is Pebble's September feature updates roundup. Kevin's here to join us. Kevin, how you doing?
Great. I'm doing well. Fall is coming. Ready to
Yeah,
ready to get this show on the road. Yeah.
yeah, we're super excited about today's session. We got a really big announcement that we're going to share, so we'll be talking about that. Just so you know, we do these live, or sorry, this is recorded. We launch these every month, and we share with you guys what we're working on. And the great thing is we are the founders here at Pebble. We've got a team of engineers, and Kevin's the lead here with the product. And this is something that we continually work on. And you're gonna see Pebble is coming into sort of a new phase, a new stage, and we're really excited to sort of show you the first little baby steps of that. So let's get into it. Let's start with the first one here, Kevin. Why don't you talk about the saved activity filter here?
Yeah. So for those of you who are daily users of Pebble, you'll know that we shipped a new feature a couple months ago, which is our activity feed. So on our deals, we have a feed of all of the activities that have happened in relation to that deal. So I'll go here and pull up this deal. Mark Twain here, great guy. Love getting properties from him. And we have a list of activities that have happened on this deal. So we can see here that Jesse added a note on January 27th. I added a note, and then I added a new task list, and then I completed 3 tasks. So those are each activities that are on this deal. If your deal has been going on for a long time, there's probably going to be lots of activities there. One piece of feedback that we received from this is that a lot of times people really wanted to focus in on specific activities. So if you really care about those notes and aren't so concerned about seeing the tasks that were completed or maybe the conversations that have happened with the seller, then we wanted to be able to provide you with an easy way to always see that important information. So what we have now is that this activity feed filter will persist its selection. So if you go in here and say, I only want to see the notes that have been added to this deal. So I have Jesse and my note here. Now that will save. So if I then pull up another deal, let's just go over here to this guy. He doesn't have any notes. Maybe this one. Well, I'll find a deal with notes, but you can see that the selection here has remained. So the notes will now only show by default. Of course, you can then change that back to all activities if you want to see everything, or change that selection there. So just a bit of a convenience for those who really want to focus on those note fields.
Awesome. All right, let's talk about our new Pebble Intelligence. This is sort of the big launch here. Pebble Intelligence is our AI engine that runs our AI functionalities and our agents. And so when we talk about Pebble Intelligence, this is really where we're sort of seeing sort of phase two of Pebble. Um, Pebble has been a software you access, a software where you can house data, a software where you can house processes and run your processes out of the platform. It's got things that you need to run a land business, your property record data, um, your follow ups, your messages, your templates, uh, your mapping system, your documents. Pebble has a CRM built into it. This is an entire platform that you have access to. Now, we're coming into the stage where AI is really starting to take off, and what we're seeing where we want to go with Pebble is, how does Pebble start becoming a team member of yours? How does Pebble start serving your team and get things done? How does it produce outcomes for you? And this is with the launch of Pebble Intelligence. Again, this is our AI agent. AI engine. We've launched our very first agent here, and this is going to be a continual thing. This is our version, a first version of our agent, and we're calling it the intake agent. Um, Kevin, why don't you talk a little bit about the problems that we've seen with intaking properties, and then we can kind of go into our first intake agent, or our first agent powered by Pebble Intelligence.
Yeah. So for anyone doing a land business or any wholesale real estate business, typically that is going to start with a lot of outbound marketing, whether that's sending letters or postcards or doing text message campaigns or reaching out to people in some way about purchasing a property. So after we send out that outbound marketing, we're then going to receive phone calls in most cases. So you're going to put your phone number at the top, call me if you're interested in selling your property. You'll then start getting inbound leads. And while that's great that we get those inbound calls, what we quickly find ourselves dealing with is just the sheer volume of inbound calls. And if your business is anything like mine, you'll know that the inbound calls aren't always people looking to sell properties. Sometimes they're just calling to yell at you. Sometimes they're calling to, trade their tractor for something. Sometimes they're calling for just random things that aren't actually what we want, which is purchasing a property. Um, and we've had to deal with that, and we can do one of three ways. We can either just commit to being on the phone all day and handling all calls, or we can offload that to somebody else, like a VA that can man the phones and handle those situations. We can hire a third party intake service like a Pat Live or an Answer First, who's going to actually have real people answering phones. Um, or we can do some other combination of those processes. But each one of those comes with downsides, right? Either in terms of money, we have to hire somebody to man the phones, or we have to pay an in-person service to handle phone calls, um, or we lose things in terms of stability. So those customers who are interested in selling properties, sometimes they get a hold of, an answering service that is not the most intelligent in terms of like what this business is and how they we should communicate our brand and all those things. So we run into these situations where, a caller gets frustrated and sort of doesn't think that you're a legitimate buyer, and so then flakes off. Or we send them to like a voicemail where they leave a message. But if we look at the studies, um, callers who are calling and then leave a voicemail to then be called back later, oftentimes they're not committed to selling at that time that you call back. Either they've lost interest, or they've contacted another person that they've received marketing from, or other situations. So we want to always get a we always want to get that lead as quickly as possible, so that we can close that as quickly as possible. So this is the reason why we've built the Pebble intake agent. Yeah. So Jesse, do you want to talk a little
Yeah.
bit more about that? Yeah.
Yeah, let's jump into the intake agent here. A few things to note here. Our intake agent is going to answer your calls for you to intake. The whole purpose of it, that AI agent, is to actually intake that property for you. A couple things to note here. We're going to go through some of the settings and configuration. The intake agent will pick up only the first time callers. So it's intelligent in
Mhm.
that sense. Like if this is an ongoing conversation, it's not going to go to the AI. It's going to go to um, uh, somebody on the team. This also saves you a lot from those callers who say, "Hey, just remove me. Don't ever contact me." The AI intake agent will handle that as well. Um, We'll talk a little bit more about pricing after we've sort of done the configuration. Why don't we jump into your screen, Kevin? And one of the things I love about the Pebble Intelligence intake agent is you're not dealing with this complex prompt. You can get this
Mhm.
up and running instantly. It's in your account right now. You just need to access your inbox, go to the settings, and you literally can turn it on and assign it to a phone number today. Now, if they're, and the great thing is, the intake agent is intelligent. So if there's intent and somebody is wanting to sell it, the agent will also, after taking that information, it's going to create the deal, and it's also going to route the call directly to somebody on the team so they can talk to them live.
Hmm.
One more thing I want to mention here in studies, and so conversational AI is becoming a bigger and bigger thing. And what they found is people are much more receptive to know that it is an AI agent versus we're going to pretend to be a real person. So we
Hmm.
disclose that up front. And this is going to get you a lot more responses. There's been some really interesting studies out there recently I've read. But why don't we go to your screen, Kevin, and let's just go through the configuration of the AI intake agent.
Yeah. So as Jesse mentioned, this is as easy as just a few clicks. So you can get this set up in minutes, and we'll do that right here. So the first step is to go to your inbox that you intake leads on. In this case, we have a seller's inbox. The next step is to go over to settings. So settings is where we configure our intake agent, and you'll see a new button here, configure intake agent. So we simply click that, and this will take us to configuring our intake agent. Now, one thing we'll do is we will give our agent a name. So the agent will introduce itself with this name, in this case, Alex. It'll say, "Hi, I'm Alex, and I'm from this company name." So I'm from ABC Land Company. I'm a virtual AI agent designed to help you get to the next step. And so it will use those names when it's introducing itself to your potential leads. Now, this step here about your company. So every company has something that's unique to them. So whether it's we work in a specific area, or we focus only on a specific type of property, or we offer, you know, cash in 3 days, or we offer, some bonus for doing something. You'll want to put that information, just a general bio about your company and the specific things that you offer in that about your company section. And the agent will then have that information so that it's able to communicate to a potential lead. So if a question comes up, how long am I going to take to get my cash? It will respond, you get your cash in 3 days. So that can be a good way to give additional context to the AI agent. Okay, up next, we're going to select what questions we want the agent to ask these incoming calls. We can ask for the mailer code, and if you are doing mailers or you're doing text messages and you're including a code, the Pebble code that you get from your Pebble campaigns, we really recommend that you ask for that, because with that code, the agent will be able to look up the contact, look up the property, be able to create that deal completely set up for you. So that can be a really good way to get that information. If you're not asking for the mailer code, you can turn that off, and maybe you want to ask for the property's county and APN, so you can turn that on, and then the agent will ask that question. In our case, we'll keep asking for the mailer code, and then we can ask if all the owners are listed on the deed and are able to sign, and so we can turn that question on, and then ask if they are interested in selling right now. So we can turn that on as well. Again, you can turn these questions on or off. Now you'll notice that this is a very limited set of questions, and this is intentional because we find that it's best to really just ask that information that is determining whether this person is serious about moving forward, or if they're not interested in moving forward, and then we can close off the call. If we start asking a ton of questions, that can quickly become burdensome for the person who's like, maybe they're dropping their kids off for school, they just want to like talk to somebody really quick. So we find that asking a limited set of questions um, is important. Next, we are going to select the phone numbers. So which phone numbers on this inbox do we want to ring, or to for the AI agent to pick up. In this case, I'll turn all my phone numbers on, but you can turn some of them off if you don't want them to pick those up. And then lastly, the deal creation. So this is the stage that a deal will be created in if that caller shows interest in in selling their property. So in this case, we've got it going into our lead in stage, but we could also set a different stage for that if we wanted to. All right. So the next step we'll want to do is test this call. So we can just simply click this test call button and we will actually hear this agent speak. So what I'm going to do is
Let
demo
me
this.
also
Yeah.
let me
Mhm.
add a couple thing here. With the questions, there are going to be other questions that are asked. You know, we'll ask them for the name. We'll ask them to confirm their callback number. So those are all baked in. You don't need to worry about like prompt engineering, and we've really optimized on the development behind the actual AI agent itself. And it's just as easy as just toggling these questions on and off. I'll
Mhm.
also mention you have different inboxes, and so your inboxes can have a different intake agent. So if I have an inbox for Florida and a different inbox for Texas, well, guess what? I can have it specifically say we're buying land out of Texas, or we're buying land out of Florida. So you can have multiple of these.
Mhm.
Last thing I will mention, I think there's going to be questions about pricing. And so coming back to Pebble Intelligence, remember the big thing for us is like, is Pebble producing outcomes? And this is where we're going to become more of a team member to your team versus just a piece of software. And so
Mhm.
this reflects in our pricing. So we don't charge by the minute. Obviously, there's a lot of processing power when it comes to AI. I think we all know that with what's going on around the world. But so we won't charge by the minutes. We won't charge by the number of calls. We will simply charge whatever comes into your deal board, whatever is deemed a deal opportunity by the AI agent itself. It's a 99 cents per deal created. So if somebody called and said, hey, take me off your list, you're not going to be paying for that. If somebody just called to dill daddle and then not actually want to sell you the property, that won't end up on the deal board. You will not get charged for that. So I think that's a huge advantage for you guys to know that you're only going to be paying for the outcomes that the AI agent, that Pebble Intelligence is actually producing for you.
Mhm.
Kevin, are we able to? I don't know if you're able to set your microphone to
I believe
on this
it will.
platform.
So
Well, let's
we'll
try it.
give
If
it.
not, we can always record something separate.
Yep, yep. So we'll try this, and yeah, we'll hear what this agent is going to do. Now, one thing I will mention about the test call is the test call. When we get to the end of the call, it's not going to transfer to our Pebble. It's not going to dial our Pebble apps or anything, because this is just a test call. But in the real world, what would happen is it would say, I'm going to transfer you to a person who can take this further, and then your Pebble application would ring. So either on your phone or on the browser, it would ring, and then you can pick that call up. And this is what's really cool: the agent, the AI agent, will quickly summarize the person who's on the line before it actually transfers. So you'll pick up the phone, the agent will say, "Hi, this is, the Pebble Intelligence agent. I've got Amy on the line. She has a 5-acre property in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and she's interested in selling right now." Well, then it will then connect that call to Amy, and then you can answer the phone as, "Hi, Amy. I understand you have a property for sale. Let's talk more about that." So you can already have that context immediately just by listening to the call. So that we think is really important.
That's yeah, that is super powerful.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and test this, and we'll see what happens here.
Hello, I'm Alex with ABC Company. I'm a virtual assistant designed to act like a real person. I'm going to ask a few questions in order to transfer you to a member of our team. How can I help you today?
Yeah, I received a letter in the mail, and I'm interested in getting an offer on my property.
Got it. Thanks for sharing that. May I have your name, please?
Yeah, it's Kevin Rockwood.
Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate that. Is this a good number to call you back on?
Yes, it is.
Great. Could you please provide me with the mailer code? It's usually printed in the top right corner of the letter you received. Take your time.
Yeah, it's looks like it's 05-001.
Just to confirm, that was 05-001, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, are all owners listed on the deed living and able to sign documents?
Yes, they are.
Okay, I understand. Lastly, are you interested in receiving an offer for your property?
Yes, I am interested in receiving an offer.
Thanks for confirming that. I have all the information I need and will now transfer you to a member of our team. The transfer may take a moment to connect. You'll hear ringing when you've been connected.
Okay, so that was the call. If this was a real world call, it would actually dial your Pebble number, and again, it would introduce as this is Kevin. I've got Kevin on the line. He's interested in selling his property here, so we can we can really see how natural that felt. And what we've seen is that the callers who call in. May at first be kind of taken aback that like, okay, this is a virtual thing, but they can just ask questions. And I could have asked additional questions saying like, who are you? Where are you from? Like, why do you want to purchase my land? And the agent will answer that. So we've trained the agent to know that it is acquiring properties, that we send out marketing to multiple properties in the area, and so it will answer like in a very specific terms what is being asked here. Now the next thing I just want to mention is that call, once it's been completed, will show up in your inbox, and you will see a summary of what was asked. So it'll give you, here's the mailer code, here's what they answered for their questions, and then it will have a recording so you can listen to that later. Now, if your team was not available to take that transfer, that will just go to voicemail like normal, and so the person could leave a message, and then that message would show up there as well. So basically, it really performs like a human in a lot of cases. So
And,
yeah,
and that
and yeah, go ahead, Jesse.
and that also creates the deal on the deal board
Correct.
with the property, the contact. As long as there's the mailer code that was handed to it. If there isn't, the note, the conversation will be existing there as well.
Mhm.
But we'll start that process because it needs to be on that deal board because there's expressed interest on there, and you can start working on that lead. Put it through a follow up if you wanted to, or start responding to it from there directly.
Mhm. And I'll also mention that if the person called and said, "Hey, this property is not for sale. Please don't contact me again. I don't want to receive your letters." They can start yelling and screaming and saying, "Why are you sending me these letters?" Um, the AI agent will know that that's one of the outcomes that it has, and if it determines this is a person who does not want to receive any more communication, it will then ask, "What is your is that offer code?" And with that, it will look up the contact and it will mark them as do not contact. So it will just do that automatically for
Love
you, so
it.
you can know like, okay, this is dealt with. I'm not going to send any more letters or mailings to that person, and you can just move on. Now that conversation will still be there in your inbox, so you can just double check that the agent performed its job correctly. But we really think that that's going to take a ton of just manual work out of your process, just by being able to look up that contact and marking them do not mail.
So that people understand, Kevin, that means that it'll mark that contact do not mail. So if you ever uploaded another campaign or created a campaign with that contact or that owner, it'll
Mhm.
skip that. You will never pay for that contact's mailing because we never actually send it out to them, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, this is really exciting for us, and I hope it's equally exciting for all of you guys listening. With Pebble Intelligence, this isn't a bolt-on thing that we're just an add-on or whatever. Pebble Intelligence basically has context into the platform, into your data, and you're going to see this over time. Um,
Mhm.
just like marking the contact as do not mail, looking up the property, looking up the contact, or looking up the contact. This is all seamless, and it happens behind the scene, and that's powered by Pebble Intelligence. And this is really, again, the next phase of Pebble, and we're super excited as Pebble now starts slowly transitioning to being part of your team with these autonomous agents that are going to be able to help you run your business. All
Yeah,
right.
great point.
If you have any questions, feel free to throw it in the chat below. I know this is in the comments below this video. We do these every month, so make sure you subscribe. There's so much more exciting things that we're working on. This is a big release for us. I hope you guys go out there, test drive this, give us feedback, give us your thoughts as well. Start bringing it into your team. Start making those changes if you need to. It's certainly going to be a huge spending save for those of you guys that are using call centers like Pat Live or Answer First. Once again, Kevin, thanks so much for joining us. And thank you all of you guys for watching along here. And we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, see you next month.
Bye, guys.